We're learning a man planned to harm even more people after setting his pregnant girlfriend on fire in Prince George's County.
Now, the woman escaped the fire and called her mother to warn her her boyfriend was headed to kill her, too. Fox 5's Evan Lambert is live at the apartment complex in Capitol Heights where this all started. Evan, I know you spoke to the victim's mother. What did she tell you?
Sean, I talked to the mother about a half an hour ago, and she told me that her daughter, Andrea Grinage, remains in critical condition. This is a picture of her daughter, Andrea, that the family shared with Fox 5, and that mother says her daughter called her saying that she was on fire, that her boyfriend set her on fire, and that he might be headed to the mother's house to harm her. Police got to that suspect first. Now, this is video in the moments after the attack this afternoon. Police say just before noon, a man threw a flammable liquid on his pregnant girlfriend, Andrea Grinage, and lit her on fire. She was able to escape and get the help of neighbors. Police say she even told them who set her on fire and that he might be headed to her mom's house to harm her other family members. Investigators contacted the suspect and were able to get him to turn himself in D.C. We spoke to a neighbor here at the Addison Chapel Apartments who saw Grinage as she was desperately trying to get help while she was on fire.
The young lady that lived upstairs from the building across from me, baby father had put her inside the tub and put gas inside and lit her on fire. She was banging on the door. She was screaming, saying it, banging on everybody's door. And the guy that lived in the next apartment next to me had opened up the door, and that's how we all figure out. And the whole apartment just was smelling, and her apartment was just on fire.
She was rushed to the burn unit at MedStar Washington Hospital Center. Doctors were able to deliver the baby. Both the mother and the baby are alive. Both the mother and the baby require your thoughts and prayers at this time. But we do want her family to know and this community to know how brave she was with her actions and her ability to give us the information we needed to get a very dangerous person off the street.
And Grinage's mother tells me tonight that the baby obviously remains in the hospital, is also in critical condition, but is expected to be okay. The suspect, according to police, has not been identified at this point. Live in Capitol Heights, Evan Lambert.
A second man has been charged in a crime against a pregnant woman in Capitol Heights. Andrea Grinage-Parks was set on fire inside of her apartment in September. Her boyfriend at the time was charged with attempted murder. Fox 9's Lauren DeMarco is in the newsroom with the latest details on the arrest.
Jim, Sarah, while in the hospital, Andrea Grinage-Parks has been able to communicate with detectives, and according to court documents, she told them there was another man in her apartment back on September 8th who helped her boyfriend set her on fire. We learned today police have now identified that man as 27-year-old Jonathan Miller, and he is facing several charges, including attempted first-degree murder and conspiracy to murder. I spoke with Andrea's mother this afternoon and learned that thankfully her baby, who was delivered via emergency C-section when she arrived at the hospital, has been home for the past 3 weeks. Her name is Aaliyah, but they're calling her Journey, and she's apparently doing very well. Now, Andrea Grinage-Parks, who has 2 older children, was 8 months pregnant when she ran from her apartment on fire, seeking help from neighbors. She was able to tell them and first responders that her boyfriend had poured gasoline on her in the bathtub and set her on fire. She was concerned he may go after her mother next, but 34-year-old Laquinn Phillips was quickly arrested. He is being held without bond on charges of first and second-degree murder, arson, and other related charges. Now, Andrea Grinage-Parks remains in the hospital tonight. According to a GoFundMe page set up by her family, she was critically burned over 90% of her body and lost everything in her apartment in that fire. In the newsroom, Lauren DeMarco, Fox 5 Local News.
Good morning, Facebook family, friends, and my faithful loyal YouTube subscribers. Gosh, wow. I mean, I never heard this story. It came across my timeline. The story actually dates back to October when the young lady was set afire. It was first reported September the 8th. She said she was set on, a pregnant woman was quickly burned after being set on fire by her boyfriend. This was September 8th of this year. I live in Atlanta, so I didn't hear anything about this story. Laquinn Phillips was the boyfriend who set on fire, and Andrea Grinage is the young lady who is in the hospital now with not more than 90% burns over her entire body, in critical condition and trying to barely hold on to life. A couple things said to me about this story. Besides the fact that this man, for whatever reason, set this woman on fire, something kind of stood out to me. You have a crime where a young African-American woman in a major urban city, if I'm correct, this Baltimore, is this Baltimore, Maryland? Capitol Heights, Maryland. I think that might be right outside D.C. I'm not too sure. This major story where this woman, this horrific story, I never heard one word here about it in Atlanta. It didn't make any of the national news or anything. And I hate to say this, but it's true. Had that been a young white girl who this had been done to, we would have known about it on every Good Morning America, CBS News program. We'd have heard about this for days and weeks. I didn't hear anything. The only way I heard about this story is when the second man was arrested in November 2nd, and the story regenerated back out. But I'm sure a lot of people in the Maryland area have had to have seen or knew about this situation. I just didn't know because, again, I'm down here in Atlanta. Now, I don't understand why a 35-year-old man whose girlfriend is carrying the baby of his child, is carrying his child in her belly, why he would go and attempt to kill her and set her on fire. We've seen this a lot of times in our community where these pregnant women are murdered and killed, are attempted to be killed by these men who don't want these babies, or whatever reason's whatever's going on in their heads. I keep thinking of that basketball player who's now out of prison, if I'm correct, who served time in prison for killing his girlfriend, who was pregnant at the time, and she later gave birth to a child, and the child started to have, the child is 18, 19, or 20 years of age, and now has all these learning disabilities or something. I think you all know what I'm talking about. But this story saddened me in so many ways. I'm like, what is going on in our communities that we become so violent to each other? I don't understand it. It has never crossed my mind to hurt or harm a soul here on planet Earth. I've had a lot of people who did me wrong, did some horrible things to me. But I never said, I'm going to set this person on fire, I'm going to stab this person, I'm going to shoot this person. It never even entered into my thought process. Have I been angry, want to knock somebody across the head with a lamp? I'm guilty of that. I'm going to take this damn skillet I got down here, this cast iron skillet I got, and beat the crap out of somebody? Yeah, but I don't want to kill them. And I know that cast iron will do some damage. That's why that cast iron skillet knock a nigga out, but I leave it alone. Because I pick that damn thing up, it's going to be hell on earth. But I don't want to do that to anybody. What is going on in these guys' minds? Why did that young man assist him? You got two people going to jail here. And they rightfully so should be in jail for the rest of their damn lives. This young lady, beautiful young lady, her life is destroyed. Her life is destroyed. I've never understood it. I don't understand why this stuff happens. How could these, but I'm learning something about the word empathy in the black community. What I'm finding, a lot of young black men don't have empathy for life. They don't know what the word empathy means. They don't, because they've grown up in such horrible environments, they have no idea how to have empathy for a person. It's just sad. And that's where the problems come in. Empathy, the dictionary says, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Let's see the Merriam empathy. A noun. The action of understanding being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experience of another one, either of the past or the present, without having those feelings, thoughts, and experience fully communicated objectively. So a lot of these guys, they don't have the action of understanding or being aware of or being sensitive to. They don't have no consciousness in their souls are just lost. I've never met a group of people. When you look around our community, you see all these people who will harm you and kill you and do stuff to you that you couldn't even imagine. They don't care. They don't care. How could this man go from making love to this woman, holding her, kissing her, to all of a sudden trying to set her ablaze, set her fire, burn down her apartment, almost killing her? And if you all know anything about how horrific that scene had to have been, the pain that young lady is in right as we speak, how disfigured she probably is and will be for the rest of her life, they need to get that man an electric chair. They need to crank that electric chair, pull it back out, crank it up, and throw his ass in there. But he'll linger in prison. He'll lay up in prison for the rest of his life on the taxpayer's dime, eating food and having sex. I feel sorry for the gay guys he encountered in jail. They don't know that motherfucker crazy. When I served time in prison in the early 90s, I ended up at this maximum security prison camp. There must have been some angels watching over me, because every time those guards would see me talking with somebody, they'd come up and whisper in my ear, "He's here for killing his wife. He's here for killing his girlfriend. Stay away from him." So I was young. When the officers told me that, I said, okay. They telling me to leave this fool alone. And that's exactly what I did. This happened over and over. I'd be walking to the gym, I'd going to work, walk on the yard, and somebody would come up and start talking and want to walk with me and all this stuff. As soon as I round that corner in the office at the gym, saw me talking to them, she waited, and she had an opportunity. She'd come over, she called me over to the desk. "Come here, you need to sign out for some basketball or something." So I come over. I'm a little kid, 18, 19, 20. A little kid in this maximum security prison. Should not have been in the first place. And she would say, "Okay, that man right there, stabbed, shot." She knew the stuff. Stabbed, shot, killed. There were so many people in there for domestic violence that it was. I'm talking about murder, rape. So this was a maximum security prison. And when I was there at that prison, a young man who was there in the office and they're serving a life sentence stabbed to death a kitchen worker, because he began having a relationship in his mind with her. And one morning when she came in and opened the kitchen, he grabbed up a knife and started stabbing her to death and killed her. This was back in 91. I think 1991. And this officer was killed. She was an officer. She was a kitchen worker. She worked with the inmates who were preparing food. And I knew that woman. I saw her every day. This man violently attacked and killed her for no reason. They have no empathy in our community. They don't care. These guys are ruthless. Now I sat there in that prison, and I looked at all these ruthless, dangerous, crazy people, and I said, I'm never coming back to this. Because this is not my life. My life is not about this, but I'm glad I saw it. Because I knew from there, I couldn't spend the rest of my life in that environment. Some of them guys were never, ever going to leave that prison camp. They were going to die right there. Because they did something so heinous to somebody else. So deadly to somebody. And it was always somebody that were fucking, had a relationship, a girlfriend, wives. On top of the other miscellaneous, right? There were two brothers there, twin brothers. And I used to laugh and play with them, very attractive guys. They were closer to my age. And we used to play spades and stuff together. Twin brothers. They were in there for murder. Not just one, but a couple of murders. But they were nice and so much fun. I would sit back and say, wow, these guys are... You're sitting there talking to people playing spades, you're thinking, but I'm sitting with a bunch of murderers and killers and rapists. But they seem like normal, everyday people. But they're not. That's why these victims, a lot of times they don't know the person can go that far. Because they seem like a normal, everyday person. How can you go from loving me, wanting to be with me, making love to me, now you're trying to kill me? No empathy. They don't care. That's why these problems persist in our communities. And it's just, I've seen this, like I said, I'm grateful about my prison experience early in life. I knew when I got out of prison I wasn't touching nobody. No matter how angry I got, you couldn't get me to harm a soul. We end up back in that environment where those guys, like I said, some of the guys were never ever going to get out of there. And these were young, intelligent. There was a guy in there. He ran the library. And he had all his degrees and was so educated and smart. He was almost an attorney, or could have been an attorney had he stayed on the streets. But he was helping people file all these motions and stuff. He was just the most intelligent, smart. So finally one day I was in the library and he came up and sat down with me and we started talking. Very handsome, attractive guy. I was really interested in him. There was a catch. He was the guy I was seeing at the time. That was his roommate. And we would sit there and talk. And he admitted to me he was there because he had shot his wife in a fit of anger, rage. He didn't mean to do this. He said he never really wished he went and got that gun. He said he wished he never even owned a gun. And he got into it, as they had before, but this time it was different because he was so outraged by her attempting to leave him, this is what he said, that he shot and killed her. Didn't mean to kill her, but he did. This man was educated, smart. Him and his wife were married. They had children. And I sat there as a little kid. And I'm forgetting, I'm 19, 20 years old. This man much older than me. And he was telling me, Walter, don't come back here. You got a chance. The rest of these guys, the rest of us, we don't. You can go home. I stayed at that camp from January of 1991 to August of that year. I was released. The only reason why they released us is because that cafeteria worker got killed. And they swept through there. And at this point, this is when they were building these prisons. And they were doing this thing called fast track. They were rushing everybody in the prison system. They had ran out of bed space. And so some people like me who were minimum security individuals who shouldn't have been in prison in the first place ended up in facilities that had bed space, but just maximum security. So they got all us out of there quickly because we should never have been there in the first place. But this was Georgia's way of creating jobs in these areas way out in the middle of nowhere by building these prisons. Oh, anyway, that's another video. Maybe I'm sad about this. And I don't know even what to say. Because I never understand why this violence. What type of person could do this? Like I said, they don't have empathy. They don't care. They're dangerous. They're foolish. They're psychopaths. I said, if this relationship terminates with her, I think I'm done. No, I think I'm done. No more relationships for me. I can't hang no more. I can't deal with the foolishness. I can't deal with the craziness. I can't deal with I can't. I'm done. I'm serious. I won't be bothered. There's too much insanity. And I keep listening to friends of mine say, well, maybe if we dated somebody white, things would be different. You can go right on over there and find out if you want to. I'm done. Done. If you like my videos, click like, share them with family members and friends. Am I wrong for being concerned that this young lady's tragic fire was not seen nationwide? If this had been a white woman, this would have been broadcast all over the news all across the United States. Am I wrong for thinking that way? Because I know help me understand. That's my question for you guys. And if you knew about this incident, what did you think about this tragic event? And why wasn't it broadcast? When we turn on the news, we see all kinds of stuff going on to white women. And in small town, we hear about it. But we didn't hear one word about this. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. I don't know how. I watch the news on a regular basis. I'm a news junkie. But anyway, today it is Friday, is December 1st. Today is World AIDS Day. That's my next video. I'm out of here. Enjoy your Friday. Now I gotta get my ass to the barber shop and get this mess cleaned up. And I'm out of here, y'all. Bye.